start with the stress fracture in the foot for DaRon Bland, out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and I was riding down the elevator, heading down for postgame. I was riding down with David Abruzzi from Cowboys PR.
Well,
and I asked him, I was like, how much of a high do you get just like looking around the press box and watching when you get to send the entire beat scrambling? Like when you fire off an email, you get to break a story. You scoop Rappaport and Schefter and everybody else. He's like, it does feel pretty good to scoop you guys sometimes and make sure you guys didn't get a hold of something. But
I'm sure it gives them a great high to say one of their best players is out 6 to 8 weeks.
Gives them a high to
make everyone more cheery in the building.
It gives them a high to scoop us, is what it is.
Anyway, no one cares about what David Abruzzi breaks. Let's talk about what DaRon Bland broke.
Yes. Not a full break. A stress fracture. This is the same injury that Des Bryant experienced on his foot a number of years ago. DeMarcus Lawrence. They had full breaks, apparently, though. This is not that. This is a stress fracture, something that does require surgery. 6 to 8 weeks is the word. This is going to be on the, all expectations are, this is going to be on the more conservative end of this. And that, I think Jerry said 4 or 5 games. I think the expectation from everybody right now is 4 games, that he would be back for Pittsburgh at the beginning of October. So basically, you're looking at he's out for September. First 4 games of the season, which is Cleveland, New Orleans, Baltimore, and the Giants. And then he's back for Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football. But just a really tough way to start things, given the rest of your cornerback group is it's a rookie, Kalen Carson. It's a guy coming off an ACL, Trayvon Diggs. It's a 30-year-old, undersized corner in Jordan Lewis.
And now, RJ, you talk about corner uncertainty when Jerry Jones was talking about this being maybe the most certain position group on the team.
Yeah, when everybody's healthy, it might be, but not now, because you have from weeks 1 through 6. Just go to the bye week. You have no idea. There's no way. Nobody knows what Diggs is going to be. We don't know. There's hope. It's 2024. You should be fine, but there's no way of knowing. It's just like a guy coming back from Tommy John or any kind of surgery. You just don't know. He could have a complete Michael Gallup mind blank. Who's lining up week 1, and who do you trust week 1? That's the problem with the position group right now. It is in a world of pain for a handful of weeks. Literally a handful, like a full handful. You're at minimum. What, the Detroit game is the first game that you might think that Bland would return?
No, Pittsburgh. Week 1, week 5 is the earliest he can come back.
Yeah, okay. So in Detroit's week 6.
But you could potentially, if this lingers, then 6 is Detroit, then it's the bye. If it happens like that, if it's not as quick a recovery as you expect, then you're talking San Francisco at the end of October is when it comes back.
Bobby went and laid out the quarterbacks that DaRon Bland is going to be missing. Deshaun Watson, then Derek Carr, the MVP, Lamar Jackson.
Screw you.
It's not towards you.
Is he not the MVP?
I know. I feel like he likes saying that.
And then Daniel Jones. So Watson, Carr, Lamar, Daniel Jones, first 4 weeks, and then maybe Jared Goff.
Maybe Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, but either way, and then it would be Jared Goff after that. But either way, it's not murderer's row at all.
I mean, you're and yeah, like okay, so you might have some decent receivers thrown in there, but you don't have anybody to get them the ball. Like that you couldn't have asked for a better quarterback situation to face without Bland and again, who knows with Diggs. And that's the problem because there's just the unknown. If Diggs was fine and not coming off an ACL and then it'd be like, okay, this is way different, but he is.
They're really excited about Kalen Carson. I mean, before any of this had occurred, they were really excited and talking him up. They think he's
But were they looking at him as a training camp star, and then we didn't see it carry over to the games? Broadus had kind of mentioned something small about that with us.
A little bit in the first game, there was some of that, but I mean, to me, that was first game speed reps in a year, basically, is what Carson was playing. And I think when you look at where they had him graded, where they viewed him, which was a couple of rounds higher than they took him. They took him in the 5th round. They viewed him as a legitimate top 100 type of player. And I think all the coaches consistently, they had a projection about him back in April when they picked him that I don't think any coach or teammate or anybody else has been dissuaded by watching him out there. But they all think he's really good.
Yeah, and he might be, but that position does not translate well right away
Not always.
into the NFL. I mean, even at the best, like Patrick Peterson was at the quickest to figure the game out, and it still took him 7-8 weeks.
In the McClay era, they've had success at corner pretty quickly in a similar way, not quite as great, but in a similar way to what they've had with offensive line. Because Diggs was solid out of the gate, especially for how raw he was considered. Anthony Brown was good out of the gate. Jordan Lewis was good out of the way. Cheeto, good early on, and Carson they expect to be good early on. Bland, same sort of way. So they've had a lot of success with corners immediately jumping in and being able to play.
Real quick, because now the problem is those guys are not going to be covering the third or fourth corner necessarily. They may have to get bumped up.
Potentially. Bland was asked to cover a lot of tough guys early. So was Lewis and Awuzie, because that was before they kind of locked down corner. But, I mean, it's covering the third receiver is a different challenge than it was 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm. True.
Let me get out.
What's that?
House of Cards, piece of paper that I've kept. That's what the season is to me, an absolute house of cards. Sam Williams, gone for the year. Udoga, who they probably, at least some in the building, had as their starting left tackle against Cleveland. He is not going to be around. DaRon Bland, and contracts. Big fat question mark still, because they are not done. Anything else I'm missing on my updated house of cards? It could all crumble. Little piece of paper.
Sure. I mean, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
And the Dak Prescott regression, if you're worried about that, if you're worried that was his peak last year.
No, we'll leave that off. That's not a good one. Jerry Jones.
I agree, it's not. Dak's going to continue to ascend. Good point, Sean.
Jerry Jones on Saturday, reaction to the Bland news, and they go in corner shopping.
Well, I'm glad it's not for an extended period of time. And so we lose him 4 or 5 ball games. I go through that pretty quick, pretty cavalier. It's not cavalier, it's serious. But the good news is we're going to have him for the meat of the deal. That's the good news.
How do you look at the cornerback position? Are you going to look outside the organization for help there?
For what?
The cornerback position?
Not at all. Not in any way. No, not at all. We've got, that's the good news is that we've got some guys that have really shown well in camp. We won't be looking at all.
What do you like about Carson?
I like the fact that he's playing at the level he is for how long a time, which is not much in the NFL. And he certainly is going to get a great opportunity to fill in here. We've had a couple of guys come in here and do pretty well the last 3 or 4 years at rookie cornerback, so maybe he'll make All-Pro.
And then, of course, All-Pro.
I like that subtle add of, like, maybe he'll make All-Pro. Who knows?
Hell of a ceiling. He doesn't like to throw expectations on anyone, but
maybe he'll be the second best corner in the entire league. Or the second best lineman, whatever.
That's right. Not even Pro Bowl, All-Pro.
No, All-Pro.
And, of course, Tolo's pointing out, well, Stephon Gilmore, he was sitting out there, and now he is in Minnesota for $10 million.
Which I think there's zero chance Stephon Gilmore's here if he's a free agent right now. Because of that kind of a price point, they were never going to pay it.